Clemson has 5 losses in a football season for the first time since 2010, and that was a football game, folks. I'm still trying to take in everything that we just watched. Um, that was one of the more frustrating watches of a football game I think I've had in quite some time. Probably one of the most winnable football games I've seen Clemson lose in quite some time. Um, we're going to break it all down. There's a lot to get into about this. Obviously, the ending is what a lot of people are going to want to talk about, but the entirety of this football game was just it was nonsensical. It was completely nonsensical. But I want to thank you guys for joining us. We continue to chug along throughout this season, even with the losses. And we really, really greatly appreciate each and every one of you that come in and support us. We got 51 already in here right now. So if you haven't already, please hit that like button. And if you aren't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. I do know that I see our analytics. A lot of you aren't subscribed. We're trying to get that ratio up. So subscribe. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you know when me and Tiger Paw Craven go live. Of course, we also do a show on Tuesday nights called the All In Show at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So y'all make sure to tune into that as well. But I don't want to waste any more time. This is a football game that has a lot of pieces that we need to kind of dissect and talk about. So I'm not going to waste any more time. And let me bring on my co-host, Tiger Paw Craven, live from the softball fields in Charlotte, North Carolina.
That's right.
So in my stomping grounds, hopefully I'll get a chance to meet up with him before he leaves. But TPC, how you doing?
Hey, man, I'm doing pretty good. Frustrated, man. Really frustrated with this football team, with just kind of how the season's gone in general. Even when it looks like you're going to win, you just can't get it done. It seems like with this team, if it's not one thing, it's another. But it's very frustrating. But yeah, I'm live from the softball field, an undisclosed field in Charlotte, North Carolina. So yeah, hopefully we get a chance to link up before I head out of here. Got games again tomorrow, but glad I got to catch the game. Had to get an old free trial of Fubo TV in order to watch this game.
Here, man.
Thanks to YouTube TV and Disney, who apparently want to fight at all the wrong times. They do it during, do it in May or something when we ain't got nothing to watch on TV. So, but whatever. Here we are.
Here we are, man. Yeah, that was a football game we watched. Let's talk about it. You lose the final score, Clemson 45, Duke 46. If you're a college football fan, I mean, that was just a wildly entertaining football game. I just want to start that out. Clemson was a very short favorite at home. This game lived up to the hype, if there was any hype for this football game, and then some. A barn burner by all definitions.
Yeah.
But obviously, the story of this football game is going to be you gave up 46 points. And the manner in which you gave up 46 points is something that we haven't seen. We haven't seen all the problems of this defense show themselves in every single game. But all the problems that this defense has shown at different points throughout the season kind of came together today in a way that I think was, ultimately cost you the game, in a game where even just one play being different means you win this football game. Let's talk about it. Secondary, one of the worst played games I've seen from a Clemson secondary in years. I mean, shoot, this was about as bad as, this was worse than like Ohio State in the Sugar Bowl several years ago in the playoff, or, Kentucky a couple of years ago in the Gator Bowl. That was a pretty miserable performance. this is quite up. I mean, oh shoot, Wake Forest in 2021,
Yeah.
like, or no, actually not 2021, 2022. Correction. Um, some of those games kind of like this is about as bad as it's gotten. I have not seen a Clemson secondary look this out of sorts, this poorly coached, just this completely, out of sync in years. I mean, that was brutal, man. I mean, the first quarter, that was about as bad as it gets. I mean, it had everything. I mean, coverage busts, guys getting, guys flat out getting beat.
Yep.
Um, just complete whiffs in the secondary that you just are completely inexcusable. I'm at a loss, and I'm over. We've talked about it, yeah, ad nauseum throughout this season, and about how there's going to be changes and all of that, but you know these are the type of games where you're like, I don't really want to wait till the end of the season. I want to see some heads roll now, and
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of fans feel that way. We know how
Yeah.
Dabo Swinney operates. That's just not in his MO. That's not really how he goes about doing things. But my God, man, blow this whole thing up. I mean, listen, a lot of criticism is going to come to Tom Allen. I think a lot of it is warranted.
Yep.
But I'm of the belief that the the staff he has under him just they don't have it.
Yeah,
They
they're not getting it done.
they just don't have it.
They're not getting it done. And you've seen it over two defensive coordinators now, right? So this, Jordan, like games like this, these are the type of games that get people fired. Like these are the type of game. This is like, you remember the game against West Virginia, right? Before we brought Brent Venables on board,
Yeah.
like this is like that kind of type. This is that type of game, right? That's the kind of game that gets you fired. And I'm of the belief, along with you, Jordan, that Tom Allen is not the guy that needs to be fired. But there are position coaches that do. I believe Tom Allen's a good defensive coordinator. I think he's proven that at several stops along his coaching career. And I think that he deserves to get some assistant coaches under him that align with his defensive philosophy and that can teach it properly. Because clearly the staff's not meshing. There's a disconnect there. And it's very evident on the field. You mentioned, I mean, it wasn't just like one thing that the defense did bad today or the secondary did bad today. They basically did everything bad. Anything you could possibly do bad, they did bad. Busted coverages, guys just flat out getting beat, guys out of position, guys not paying attention to what they should be paying attention to, getting caught with your eyes in the like so many things. Um, it's just a frustrating team to watch at this point. Like these are not games that you should be losing. Clemson has far too much talent, but it just doesn't show up on the field at all. We're at 5 losses on the season, Jordan. 5 losses. We are 3-5. Did you ever think you would say that about a Dabo Swinney coach team?
I mean, not not in the last
Not since early, not since
14,
very
15 years.
yeah,
Yeah.
not since very early on in his tenure, when we were unsure if Dabo Swinney was going to be a successful head coach. Well, he turned out to be a pretty dang good head coach and win 2 national titles. I never thought I'd say this about us, the Dabo Swinney coach team. But here we are. Here we are. Very winnable games, and you can't win. You can't get stops when you need stops. You can't move the ball when you need to move the ball. It's a lot of different things. And the offense had a pretty good day today, and the secondary had a terrible day today. But there's just points and times in every game this year where it's just one side or the other not getting it done when you need it to get done. And that's just the theme throughout this year. I know we've said it on this show before, at least on the All In show on Tuesdays that we do. This team's not done losing. They're not done. I don't know. What else do you say about this team? It's a bad football team. And and a lot of times they look like a poorly coached football team. And that's very, very unacceptable.
I mean, on the coaching front, I mean, when we talk about, we'll talk about the defense today. I mean, because obviously you score 45 points, you should win the football game. The offense,
Yeah.
I had my
Yeah.
problem. I had my issues, but especially late in that football game. But Clemson was 134-0 when scoring 45 plus points. They are now 134-1.
Hey, we love like the theme of 2024 is how many records or how many new things can we do in a negative way? Like that's the thing. Oh, we're going to lose to Duke at home for the first time since 1980. Oh, we're going to do this for the first time since whenever. Oh, we're going to, we've now lost 3 straight at home in Death Valley. How do you do that?
It's unthinkable. Even
Like,
before Dabo Swinney, that wasn't almost unthinkable. And
yeah,
I mean, for Tommy Bowden teams, you didn't lose 3 straight games at home.
We can't even win at home anymore against Duke. And I'm not saying like I'm not trying to hate on Duke or say they're a terrible football team because they're not. But I mean, come on, really? This is where Clemson football is. Apparently, I mean,
When I look at this defense, I mean, when it comes to the leadership and the top down, chain of command and how they're going about implementing what Tom Allen wants to be like. It feels like this is like the world's worst game of telephone being played right now, because
yeah,
like I saw a tweet from David Hood during the game. I believe it was after the coverage, but Avion Terrell goes on a. I don't know if apparently it was. I thought it was like a delayed corner fire, but according to Dabo, it was cover 2 and Avion Terrell was the cover 2 flat, and he kind of went in to play the run, and that's probably kind of why it looked like he was blitzing. And Ronan Hannafin was apparently supposed to be over the top, obviously, be one of the split field safeties, and he just didn't rotate over. So I mean, like when I saw that tweet, I saw a tweet from David Hood about that when that happened, and he noted that Mickey Kahn was absolutely losing it at Tom Allen on the sideline, like he was yelling at him. Like it wasn't like getting in his face. They were like away from each other, but like Mickey Kahn is jumping up and down, screaming. Whatever the call was not, I guess, to the position coaches weren't on the same page with the defensive coordinator. And obviously that meant the defensive backs weren't on the same page about what the call was either. And so like I'm wondering like where the disconnect is, but there clearly is one between from the head guy, his position coaches, and the player. And of course, because there's the miscommunication there, of course there's going to be miscommunication on the field.
Yeah.
And so like I'm at a loss at how this. Not only do the players look unprepared, but the coaches themselves look unprepared for what they're about to do. Like and that's the sign to me that this staff, like just as a unit, as a collective group, they just do not mesh well together.
Yeah, they don't work. They don't work together.
No.
And Dabo Swinney's got no choice. At the end of this year, he's got to blow up this coaching staff. You got to bring in people that are going to mesh. You got to bring in people that are going to have the same philosophy. Because it's just not, it's clear. I mean, when your coaches can't even get on the same page on the sideline, how the hell do you expect your players to know what the hell they're supposed to be doing on the field? They can't. and they won't. And then it turns out to be, busted coverages and players out of position and, 40 and 50-yard touchdown passes, right? Like that's what it turns into. Um, it's it's not working, man. It's not working, and it's not going to get better this season.
No.
So, we've said it before, but buckle up, Clemson fans. This this season's going to be as bad as we thought it was early. As bad as we thought this season was going to be early on, when we realized this team was not who we thought they were in the preseason. Even then, we didn't think it was going to be this bad. But it's look. There's no telling how bad it gets. We might only win one other game. Furman.
It's a legitimate possibility.
I'm being dead serious. That's a distinct possibility. Like, I don't know if Clemson fans realize that right now. We might only win one other game.
I mean, it really is unbelievable, when you consider, just where we were preseason talking about this football team. This was not in my range of possibilities for this football team. I was like, okay, this team, in the preseason, I was like, this team could be anywhere from a legitimate national championship contender to they can be the same as last year.
Right.
And good team, but very clearly flawed. And they made the playoff off the back of I mean, honestly, they got some luck towards the back end of the season, but you won 7 conference games and you won the games you had to. But now you can't even win the games you have to, and and that's been clear from really from week 1. Really week 2, at least week 2, when you saw how they played against Troy, and you knew that was the moment we knew. But I really don't know. Like, listen, I have the utmost confidence at this point in the season that there will be some pretty radical changes this offseason.
Yes.
I'm excited to see what those look like, what happens. But just in terms of this football team for this season, I mean, what things do you do? Because we talk about this coaching. We just talked about this coaching staff clearly not being on the same page. They don't mesh well together. There doesn't seem to be much connection. Hell, there could be even disagreement in the coaching room. It's not the most unheard of thing. We talk about players and the locker room, but the coaches also, they're people too, and they have different agendas and different philosophies that clash. I definitely am not ruling that out when it comes to this staff, and it makes you wonder, how this team can go forward and really improve on anything, because you couple the fact with this coaching staff not being on the same page with the fact that, especially on defense, and you couple it with the fact that quite frankly, I mean, we talk about how much talent this defense has, but I mean, especially on the back end, where do you see the talent? I mean, Avion Terrell, I think is going to be a first-round pick. Hopefully, maybe, possibly. He did not have a great day today.
No.
But beyond that, I mean, Ashton Hampton has shown promise early in his career. He's certainly regressed in quite a few ways. You don't really have much behind them in terms of corner depth. I mean, you've seen Corian Gibson get out there more, and I was high on him coming out of high school, but I don't think Brandon Strozier really has any business playing. I don't think Tink Kelly really is any good. And when you look at the safeties, my God, man, this is the worst safety room that Clemson has had. And
they're terrible. They're terrible.
This is awful. They're awful. There's no sugarcoating it. And individually, we talk about those players Ricardo Jones, obviously a very highly coveted recruit coming out of high school. He is still lost. I mean, he's been here 3 years now. 2 years. I mean, this is 3rd year.
Yeah.
he still looks like he has no business being out there on the football field.
And he is out there, which tells you everything
No,
you need
this
to
is his
know about.
second year. This is his second year, isn't it?
But he is out there, right?
But
So
he's still out there.
that tells you what the coaches think about everybody behind him.
Yep.
And look how he looks on the field. Like, bro, that's a position you have to go to the portal and fill this year. Like,
yeah,
without question. You got to go get a safety. You have to. You have no choice. I mean,
yeah.
if you would have, you know how much money, Jordan, I would have bet if you would have set me down in the offseason, like as we were going through fall camp, right, and leading up to the season. You know how much money I would have probably bet you if you would have been like, hey, I'll bet you X amount of dollars that Clemson's going to be 3-5 on November 1st. I would have bet you a whole lot of money. Yet here we are. What do you do going forward for this team? I mean, I'm not saying you try to stop winning, but let's face it and let's be honest. We got 5 losses on the season. This season is a wash. Whether you won out or you lost out, this season sucks. This season is terrible. You have to figure out, what do we need to do in the portal come the offseason? And in order to do that, you're going to have to play some people and figure out where they're at. Are they your guy? Shout out to Gideon Davison for finally getting a chance today. Look what he does when you give him an opportunity. That's crazy. What, we have 48 yards or something rushing in the first half, and we ended up with, what was it, 170?
Yeah, 175.
We just forgot how to run the ball in the second half. Cool, whatever. Par for the course with Garrett Riley, but that's besides the point. Like, guys like Gideon Davison, right? Guys like that on the roster, you have to start getting them more opportunities to figure out what you have and what you need to do in the transfer portal this offseason. And the coaching staff, I mean, they're auditioning for jobs right now. Like,
I'll be interested to see how many of them, at least the ones that are let go. I'd be interested to see how many of them, land comparable jobs after this. But
they won't.
Like, I mean, this is on the portal front. I have every reason to believe that this is going to be a season where Clemson, you dipped your toes in last year, and I was thankful that they did it, and they've largely been positives, especially Tristan Smith and Will Helt. But like, you've got, it can't be just 2 or 3 players. I mean, it's shown you have too many unknowns, too many guys that have not developed, or guys that just flat out can't play. Defensively, I keep going back to the defense just because the defense was just so awful today for all but like one quarter, really. And you need to change the makeup of that room, especially in the defensive secondary. It's just it's not it. Guys have either can't play, or they've or the guys that have shown promise have regressed. I mean, do you guys remember freshman Khalil Barnes? Do you remember how excited we were about him when he when he burst onto the scene? He's been a liability for 2 seasons now.
Yeah, it seems like a lifetime ago that Khalil Barnes was out there flying around making crazy plays. I mean, we thought his freshman year, I was like, man, this dude's gonna be a first-round draft pick. This dude's like, yeah, we got an All-American on our hands. Nope.
You've gotten worse every season. He was not good last year, and he's been worse this year.
It's like he caught a disease and forgot how to play football. Like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know how you look like that as a freshman, and then follow it up by the 2 subsequent seasons that he's had since. Like, it's baffling when you see stuff like that.
And like, shoot, talk about a guy that's not even on the team anymore, Shelton Lewis. He showed promise as a freshman, and now he's no longer on the team. I mean, it just it tells you everything you need to know about how broken from a overall just every aspect of this operation at Clemson right now is broken to the point where it's hard to tell where where one problem starts and the next one begins.
Yeah.
I mean,
you gotta if you're Dabo, you got to make fundamental changes to this program.
Yeah.
Not just coaching changes, not just bringing players in from the portal, but you have to look at everything that you do, from how you practiced to how your strength and conditioning program is, to how you watch film, to how you meet. Fundamentally, this program and Dabo Sweeney, particularly, has to take a long look at everything, because there are things there fundamentally with this program that obviously need to change. What those are, we don't know. We're not in the day-to-day operations of the football team or the program or in the facility. But it's clear, because you've switched coaches. To your point, Jordan, you've made this point several times on this channel. You've switched coaches numerous times. It looks the same, and it looks to be getting worse. So that says that, yeah, although we do have some coaching issues right now, and I think our coaching staff is not meshing, so there do need to be changes there, I think it goes deeper, and it's more fundamental stuff, like foundation stuff with the program and how you operate and how you go about things and how you do things, from recruiting to the transfer portal to strength and conditioning, to how you watch, how you meet, everything. You got to look at it all. And there's a very good chance you may have to blow it up and start over, and just you say you start over every year and you reinstall the program. You may need to change some pieces of that program and reinstall a different program.
Yeah. Because you may be starting over, but you're building up to you're using the same blueprint.
Right. It's not
that's
working.
Already shown it doesn't work.
Yeah, it's not working. Clemson's been getting worse for 4 seasons now, right? 4 or 5 seasons, whatever it's been, right? And then this season, this was supposed to be your year. This was supposed to be the team that you built up to, right? This was supposed to be the team that proved that the Dabo Sweeney philosophy, the Dabo Sweeney model was going to work in the new era of college football. That's what this team was supposed to be. And instead of doing that, instead of, the regression, the small regressions they've been on for 3 or 4 seasons now, they fell down the mountain this year. They completely fell off a cliff. Here we are with a lot of questions that are not going to be answered in the next month.
Nope. You get 5 losses in the month of November. It is something, man. I'm.
It's still only November 1st, Jordan.
It's only November 1st.
It's only November 1st. We got 5 losses.
I guess we should talk about the actual football game, because we're over here talking about big picture stuff.
Yeah.
But this football game was, again, like I said at the beginning of the show, I mean, great football game if you had no dog in the fight. I mean, congrats to Duke. That was that's a football game. Either team hates to lose. All those cliches that they say, but it's true. I mean, that's a tough one to lose, especially at home, and the way that it played out. But the reality of this football game, the brass tacks of this football game is you flat out made way too many mistakes. I mean, listen, I was very upset about how that ending of that game played out. I think that pass interference call was awful. That was flat out a terrible call by the refs. But listen, you gave up 46 points. You gave up 360 yards of through the air. You gave up a kick return touchdown. You dropped 2 interceptions. You gave up a big play a big touchdown right before the half on just a textbook things that you go over day one, fundamental, install. you rep this over and over and over and over again, end of half situations on defense, and then not and starting at any point in the field. If they're at midfield, you don't let anybody behind you. I mean, if Duke, obviously, if you did your scouting, Duke's kicker sucks. So I'm not worried about giving up a throw underneath and, maybe potentially getting them in range to kick a long field goal. If he knocks that down, I mean, so what? Oh, well,
Yeah, so be it.
You tip your cap. But I mean, like, those are things that are just fundamentally. Listen, I don't know what. I don't even think it was a problem with the call. Your players just flat out don't know what they're doing. It seems because I mean it's pretty obvious. You don't let anybody behind you. I mean, you're deeper than the deepest man, and you give that up. So, but all of those things were created such a tiny margin of error in a game that quite frankly, after the first quarter, you outplayed Duke on a down-to-down basis pretty significantly. And that's the thing that's really, really frustrating is I think Clemson was the better football team today.
Yeah.
But at least on a down-to-down basis. But when in the margins and where football games are won, when it's fourth down, Duke converted every single one of their fourth downs. Every single one. The last one obviously was on a penalty. That you should have got to stop there. But still, they would instead of 6 for 6, they would have been 5 for 6. That's still terrible. It's still awful, and inexcusable as a defensive coordinator. I mean, I know every single defensive coordinator, any defensive guy I've ever talked to, if his defense gives up 5, fourth downs, they're going to be. I mean, they're not going to be able to sleep at night.
Yeah, no.
I noticed how Brent Venables was. This was a game that just flat out, if you make just any one of those plays, just one, whether it was the 2 drop picks, whether it was the giving up the big play right after the big touchdown right after, giving up a kick return for a touchdown, you take away one of those football plays, you win this football game, and we're talking about, hey, yeah, Clemson won a hard fought game. I mean, it's so frustrating to feel like you did everything, from a down-to-down basis to win the football game, and then and you lose like that. But that's what it is when you're not a good football team. You don't make those plays. You give up those fourth downs. You throw it on 2nd and 6 after you get a 4-yard gain, trying to run the clock out. You stop the clock, and and you end up having to punt. I mean, we saw Clemson on special teams block a punt. When's the last time Clemson has blocked a punt? Seriously, I don't know I can't even think of the last time they've done that.
Yeah, when's the last time we done anything crazy on special teams? We don't. Like in the punt return game, outside of the ACC championship game last year, that comes to mind. But we don't do stuff like that.
We don't.
It just felt like all game, right? Clemson would go down, they get a big drive, they pull ahead, and then the defense would let up a score, right? The kick return for touchdown. Like, what are we doing? You just came out of halftime, put a big drive together, scored a touchdown, and that's what you come out and do. The before the half, you talk about the 2 drop picks, and then you just let a dude streak down the field wide open and score a touchdown so they can go into half instead of being down a touchdown. Now they're tied up. Instead of getting off the field like you should have done, like you had multiple opportunities to do on that drive heading into halftime, and you honestly, if you would have gotten off the field in any one of those situations, you probably at least drive down, get in field goal range, and kick a field goal. So now you're going into half up 10. But instead, your defense can't get off the field, missed opportunities, and then you give up a huge play down the middle for a touchdown. And now instead of being up 10 or maybe even 14, now it's tied up going into halftime. All the momentum you had. Because, that second quarter, Clemson really built momentum. The defense played well in the second quarter. The offense got it going. The running game was really, opening up things for the offense. And then in the second quarter, in a quarter where you finally showed up as a defense, instead of finishing that quarter and going into the half with a lot of momentum, you give up another huge play. You drop 2 picks. You don't get off the field when you need to. But again, like you say, that's what bad teams do. And Clemson's a bad football team.
Yep. You lost this game like a bad football team would lose a game.
You gave this game away to Duke. And I know we could talk about, the final drive for Duke and the pass interference call, and you can talk about all that stuff. But how many times should have Clemson's defense gotten off the field and they didn't? How many times could they made a play and they didn't? So I mean, you could choose to focus on the refs, and believe me, far be it from me to say they were good today. They were what I call good and terrible today, right? But that's not why you lost a football game. You lost a football game because you can't get off the field on 4th down. You lost a football game because you can't make a play when you need a play. Nobody steps up and says, I'm going to make the play. 6 for 6 on 4th down? Are you kidding me? You don't deserve to win a football game. You don't.
Nope.
What defense gives up 6 4th down conversions in a single game? That's crazy.
Not a single stop.
Not one. Not one time were you like, it ends here. We're getting off the field here. Nope. They converted every single one of them. It's piss poor, man. I mean, it's almost unbelievable, the stuff that this football team does. It's hard to watch, man. It's mentally draining to turn on a Clemson football game at this point in 2025 and be like, all right, I'm gonna sit down and watch this. I mean, it's hard to have any belief in this team. It's hard for me to believe that this team is gonna beat any of their Power 4 opponents that they have left. It's really hard for me to believe. And that includes the South Carolina team, who, by the way, is not very good.
They're more than good enough to beat this team.
But hell, neither are we.
Yeah.
So,
that's going to be a fun Palmetto Bowl, man.
Yeah, it's going to be the least talked about Palmetto Bowl, and since I don't know when.
God, man. But
both teams are going to come into that game and have nothing to play for, other than the rivalry.
Yeah, it's going to be like it's going to feel like 1998 when
yeah.
both teams were terrible. Clemson was what, 3-8, and South Carolina was 0-10.
0-10, yeah.
Or I guess 2-8. Heading into that game, and then 0-10. Back when they only played 11 games in the regular season, man. Last year, Tommy West, but he won that football game.
He won that one. Pulled that one out.
Shout out to him. That was I think that was Lou Holtz's first year at Carolina. Yeah, I
think so. Yeah,
wasn't even alive then. That was such a winnable football game. You had an opportunity. And I don't even want to say like you win this game and all of a sudden your fortunes change. Turn around. I mean, a lot of if Duke hadn't converted that 2-point conversion and you won 45-44. We'd still be talking about how awful this defense is and all that. And I hate that because, this was the best called game largely for offensively that Clemson has had all year. I mean, this was the most competent defense statistically that you at least since you played LSU, and you put up 560 yards of offense and 45 points. I mean, should be good enough to win any football game at home. It just that I'm so like bewildered at how this game played out, because neither one of us thought this game was going to be high scoring, and it ended up being that. And the fact that you did everything, I mean, offensively that you could have asked for. I mean, again, I hated how they play the offense played that game. Played that final drive. But listen, I mean, you scored 45 points. K. Klubnik played his best game of the season. He was accurate. He was decisive. That was the Cade Klubnik largely that we thought we were going to see. He made.
Yeah.
I mean, it was nice that he got obviously having Antonio Williams fully involved in the offense and making plays, like that's clearly his guy, and that clearly helped a ton. But obviously the success running the football in the first half, especially, that was good to say. Good to see the offensive line, blocked probably its best game of the year in the run game. They were constantly getting. I mean, the running backs were constantly getting 4 or 5 yards, and they were able to break some explosives. Adam Randall had a pretty good day, finished with 2 touchdowns and just under 90 yards. Obviously Gideon Davidson is pretty good at football. Yeah. You give him an
imagine that.
opportunity, he look good.
Yeah, imagine that your 5-star running back can actually run the football. That's crazy. What a novelty idea.
He even looked decent. He even looked decent in pass protection. I mean, he picked up some blocks, man, and he caught a ball out of the backfield. I mean, clearly talented football player. It's nice to see him and Randall be a kind of 1-2 true like 1-2 punch and see both of them get opportunities to run the football. That was nice. And obviously Antonio Williams had his best game of the season. TJ Moore was, it took him a while to get involved, but that obviously that call on the screenplay, I mean, that was just perfect execution. And TJ, I mean, he showed his athleticism there. I mean, he turned that from a really good gain into 6. Like all of those things that you were that went so well for you offensively. I mean, I thought the screen game was blocked very well. I mean, just everything that we've complained about within this offense and this scheme, they did things well today. I don't think that doesn't change my opinion about this offense, over the course of this season. And I still think that changes probably need to be made at this point in the year, based off of what we've seen. But that was the offense we thought we were going to get this year, largely.
Yeah.
It's just a shame that you did not win this football game.
Yeah, it wasn't the offense's fault today.
No.
It was a defensive problem today. Obviously they didn't start well, but once they got their groove going, they played pretty well for the entire game. And as you mentioned at the top, if you score 45 points, you should win that game. But defense let them down today, and it's unfortunate. Shout out Cade Klubnik. I was shocked at how well he was moving around on that ankle today. I mean, he escaped pressure. He looked good out there. I'd love to stick around, guys, but the next game is starting, and I got to get out of here. I don't mean to leave you hanging, Jordan, but I gotta run, brother.
Nope. Yeah. You go do your thing, man. I'll take it from here, and we'll see you on Tuesday.
All right, brother. I appreciate you. I'll hit you up after the game, and we'll see what's up.
Yeah.
All right, later, man.
Later. Tiger Paul Craven, everybody. He's got to go be a softball dad. So, y'all forgive him. I'll take some questions from you guys. Of course, there's a lot of you today, so I'm probably not going to get to everything. If you guys are interested in becoming a channel member, that option is available. I'll point out one of ours. Adam, he's got the little green symbol. His name is green. He's got the symbol next to his name that shows that he's a channel member. He gives to the channel on a monthly basis. Y'all, if that sounds like something that's interesting to you, then feel free to click that join button in the description. It gives you access to exclusive content. So y'all, if that's something that you want to take part in, then that is available. he says, I could see Polo playing year one with the Bums at safety now in reference to Contavion Anderson. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a guy that I think Polo Anderson is a kid that can absolutely, he can absolutely play day one. I mean, he has that level of talent. I think in the most updated on three, or I guess rivals now, rankings, he was the number one player in South Carolina. It says a lot about how talented of a football player he is. I'm excited to get him on campus. He's a guy that's he's pretty locked in. That would be one that you hate to lose, especially after losing Blake Stewart. But I think with him and Caden Gebhart, I think he's still got two really, really talented safeties coming into the room. So that certainly doesn't hurt. Let's see. John says both running backs look great, and the offensive line looks serviceable to make it happen. The offensive line was key to their success, in my honest opinion. Yeah, I mean, I think this was the best in the run game the offensive line has played all season, especially when you consider the quality of defense they played. I mean, they ran the ball well against Boston College and some other and Troy, but I don't think those were great indicators of anything. I thought the offensive, I guess, because you certainly had more beef up front with Braden Jacobs kicking inside. I think that definitely helped open up some things. He was very much an enforcer. He cleaned up and created some more space. I mean, I think just in general, the offensive line, they played well together. You had Tristan Lee back, and he played left tackle. And it ended up working pretty well for you. I was kind of skeptical about that when it was announced. I was like, I don't know, I would have just kept Braden Jacobs at tackle, but it worked out. And Braden Jacobs is a guy that I think he can he has that level of versatility. You can play him at guard, you can play him at tackle, and he's going to be a plus value player for you. This season hasn't gone well, but this team isn't devoid of players with promise. So, that's honestly, that's one thing that I think you'll see this team focus on for the remaining 4 games of the regular season is, how can we get some of the younger players involved that they feel like they have a chance to be really good football players, because, everything. Yeah, I mean, there's pretty much nothing to play for except the rivalry game at this point, and your pride. Hardtake says the running backs don't run athletic, though. I don't get it, though I want to see some speed other than 0, 1, and 3 is good for what he does. Team speed and athleticism is off bad. I mean, I certainly agree on defense. I don't think this offense lacks guys with speed. I mean, they got guys that can run. I mean, Antonio Williams can run. TJ Moore can run. You saw Cole Turner out there, but he didn't get any throws, but he can run. I mean, Tristan Smith moves pretty well for a guy at 6'5". I mean, obviously, I think your running backs. I thought Gideon Davidson showed pretty good speed today, especially, and Adam Randall certainly moves well for his size. Like, I don't think you have like a ton of like burners, but I think the offense has plenty of team speed. I mean, and they got to show that today. It was a good day for the passing game. So, Tyler Brown can run. I mean, so I wouldn't necessarily say that that you don't have guys that can run. I mean, I think Christian Beneker, who we didn't get to see involved, he can run. And Olsen Pat Henry has versatility in the blocking game and as a receiver. So, I mean, that's one of the reasons we were so high on this offense, is because like you look at those guys individually and you're like, okay, these guys can play. I mean, you've got a pretty good diversity of weapons. And this was the first time this year that they kind of looked like that against a defense with somewhat of a pulse statistically, even though Duke certainly was not by any means I would call them a great defense. I think they're better than most defenses you've played. Desperate Man says, "Isn't it amazing how much better our coach Riley looks like when the offensive line actually blocks?" Yeah, I mean, and I think that's I think that's one of the things that's made it difficult sometimes to evaluate him is because some games the offensive line flat out is just not blocking the run game well, but then other times it's like okay they have some early success running the football and then they get away from it, and that's been the most frustrating thing. But I don't know. That's why, like, listen, I've never been one to say that Garrett Riley is a guy he doesn't understand football. Like, I mean, I think I think the makings of a good offensive coordinator are in there. Like, I don't think like his like the scheme itself is bad, but I mean, it's certainly the implementation of the scheme that's bad. The situational play calling certainly has been bad at times. Um, that's been the most frustrating thing because I don't think like the concepts that they run are bad. It's just I mean they run a lot of things that other schools run. It's not like the offense is like outdated like how it felt sometimes towards the back end of the Scott Elliott tenure. Like that's not what I think this is. So I mean, nonetheless, I still tend to think that I would be surprised if Garrett Riley is your offensive coordinator next season. But I definitely I don't blame everything on him. I definitely think there's just been a lack of synergy there. Some of it has been bad luck, especially his first year. There was a lot of injuries and things of that nature. Kay Klubnik certainly was not prepared to be a starting quarterback for a lot of that season. And obviously, I don't think that. I think you had some bad apples, in terms of position coaches, and you flat out, you didn't have, you had personnel issues in other areas. So, all of those things kind of couple together. But that's my thing is like you gotta change everything. I mean, you gotta blow it up because it's just everything collectively is not it's not working. All right. See, let me hit some other. Jay said OC's job is to evaluate his offense and call games accordingly. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. And it's kind of tough to tell how much of his play calling has been like he feels like they can't run certain things or he won't run certain things because he feels like they I don't know it's just kind of tough to evaluate when you're not in the room or you're not in the headset and in those meetings in the film room and all of that. Greg, yeah, I'm glad there's no tall buildings in your area too. That I wouldn't want you to do something like that. Jay says he ran the clock out at the end of the game. No chance for a field goal. Are you talking about on the penalty? On the offsides that Cade, I mean, he had a free play. I don't know why he didn't throw it. And he ended up, using up a lot of clock to run out of bounds. Are you talking about Dabo in that situation? Or are you talking about Cade? Because regardless of whether or not Dabo accepted the penalty or not, that you don't get that time back. So, wow, touchdown Boston College. But yeah, that was just. I mean, that whole the chance of you getting into field goal range was pretty much cooked on the first play with that offensive pass interference that they called. Which, I mean, you ran a pick play, but it was very clear that DB initiated the contact, and TJ was running a route. It wasn't like TJ just ran himself into the defensive back. I don't know. But yeah, that was. I mean, that pretty much ended any chance of you going down the field and scoring. So I don't even really have much to say about that last drive because I mean the fact that you were even in that situation is pretty unthinkable. Let's see. Braid Colt says, "I wonder how many recruits we're going to lose following this." I mean, well, you've already lost a few, so I mean, I'm not ruling it. I'm not ruling anything out. I do think there are guys in this. I do think there are guys in this class that are pretty locked in, but you know, can't rule anything out. Nature of recruiting now. I mean, Keyshawn Stansel was kind of a last minute decision. I mean, early on in his commitment, you thought he was going to be pretty locked in, but he certainly kept fielding calls from Miami, and especially when the season went around, it was becoming a little bit. There was a little bit of there's a little bit of concern there. So um, Blake Stewart, like I mean, that was, I mean, he was flirting with other schools. I mean, pretty much. I mean, that wasn't a surprise. And Dre Quinn, yeah, not really too much of a surprise either. So I don't want to say that that's like they're done and they won't lose any more kids because you can't rule anything out in recruiting, but yeah, we'll see. Pack says, "Do you think Dabo has lost the locker room?" I mean, I don't want to say he's lost the locker room. I think there were some guys that have checked out. I wouldn't say that's lost the locker room because I think there's a difference. I mean, because if he had truly lost the locker room, I feel like they would have gotten blown out today, especially after how the first quarter played out. But I thought they rallied. The team rallied and got back into this football game and largely controlled this football game until the end. So I mean, I don't think that's a mark of a team that's lost the locker room. Now, I can't speak for what's going on after this loss, but I don't know. I mean, I don't think engagement collectively from the team has been a problem. I think there are certain guys that aren't as engaged, and I think that kind of showed today. But I don't think the whole team has checked out. So I guess that's a silver lining, if you want to call it that. Let's see. John says, "Yeah, Dabo was as close to scorched earth on the defense today, both on the field and in the presser." Yeah, I mean that was about as furious. I've seen Dabo in a long time. He was basically mad the whole game. He was mad coming out of the locker room at halftime. He was. I don't. I mean, there wasn't much smiling going on at all. I mean, it was pretty apparent, especially defensively. I mean, I think he was just shocked at a loss for words because I mean, as bad as this defense has looked at times, they haven't looked that bad. This was rock bottom. Let's see. Jay says, "Eager to see Luke's offensive line without the upperclassmen as well." Yeah, I mean, and I think that's one of the things that you know I think you got to give him the opportunity to coach his guys, and he's brought in really good classes. Um, that's one thing you got to feel happy about, at least currently, that this offensive line class has stayed together so far. If you can hold on to those guys, that gives you kind of some sort of foundation moving forward, and you want to obviously you want to hold on to guys like Naeem Burrows and the skill guys, but um, I think you're still in a. I mean, the offensive line is the offensive line class is kind of the cornerstone of this recruiting class this cycle. It's a shame that the defensive line fell apart like it did, but at least one side of the trenches, there seems to be a bright future there. Yeah, I mean, you consider guys like, I mean, we already talked about Braden Jacobs already on the roster, Elijah Thurman, who, when healthy, has shown a lot of promise. I mean, there's something to work with there, and they have some young guys that they like. Ronan O'Connell, Mason Wade. I still think that there's clay that can be molded on the offensive line, and if today was any indicator, Matt Luke can coach can put together a good offensive line or coach a good offensive line performance, and that was apparent, I think, today. Yeah, I thought they played pretty well. Let's see. Michael Forster says defense is a hot mess. Green is the only defensive tackle penciled in. Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about next year, I don't even. I mean, Stephon Green is draft eligible this year. I don't think people realize that he's in the same class as T.J. Parker and Peter Woods. So I mean, that if that tells you. Listen, I think he's put on some good tape. I think he'll come back. I tend to think that Clemson will front the resources to get him to come back, but he is draft eligible. So, and I think he has played pretty well this year, largely. So, but yeah, in terms of defensive tackle, you've got a lot of questions to answer next season. I mean, I think Stephon Green is a guy certainly that you're going to look at to try to hold on to. Amari Adams, you still we'll see what happens with Vic Burley. I think he got out there a decent bit I for one. I know I saw him on one drive. I don't know if he played a ton of snaps today. I have to look. But those are probably like your three most established guys, and then you don't really know what you're working with. I mean, are you going to see like Champ Thompson or Heaven Brown Schuler? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You definitely have some questions to answer behind those guys. So who knows? Maybe that's a place you look in the portal. I mean, defensive tackle is tough because like that those can come at a good defensive tackle comes at a pretty decent premium. Not as much as like edge rusher, but those are in pretty high demand. John says, was the offensive scheme different today? Didn't notice so many shifts, for example. I mean, I'd have to go back and watch. I mean, it didn't feel like they were like calling a ton of things differently. They just execution wise. I mean, I thought that was the best they've blocked. I mean, that was the best they've blocked counter this year, pretty much all season. Like just their counter action. I mean, that's supposed to be their bread and butter, but they haven't blocked it well at all this year. And today they blocked it pretty well. Just guys getting out in space, running, and getting wide, especially on like pulling guards. And creating that those running lanes. I mean that was different than what we had seen. There was just a lot less penetration allowed too. So I mean it was just collectively I thought they did things better today than they've done all season. But I'd have to go back and watch and see if there was like, I mean they had their wrinkles. Like I liked the goal line toss. At least the first time they ran it, I didn't like that they ran it again to the same side after Duke had already seen it once, with Peter Woods in at fullback and lead blocking, and you had who did they have? Did they have like was it Blake Miller or was it Harris? I can't remember which offensive lineman came across the formation and lead blocked. Like that was a creative play call. I just hate that you ran it two times. I mean, the first time was great, But second time, same side, same situation. I mean, your coaching gets Manny Diaz. I mean, if there's anything he knows how to coach, is defense. Now they didn't play well today, but I mean, he's not dumb, and he doesn't have dumb players. He doesn't recruit dumb players. So they were able to fill it the second time, and there was basically no chance for Gideon to get in there. And another sequence that cost you the football game was that one. I mean, you run a throw to the flats with Chapman Pendergrass. Like, that's a play you run when you're up, 3-4 scores. That's not a play you run when you're tie game and you need a touch. I mean, if you get a touchdown instead of 3 there, we're probably having a different conversation too. I mean, so that was a pretty miserable sequence there. I mean, with that play, and then the goal line, calling the goal line toss again. I just trying to get cute. And that obviously in a game like that, those can be the margins. All right, let me try to get some some later comments, and then I'm gonna get on out of here. Yeah, y'all been blowing up today. Appreciate it. John also says, "Devil like the goal line called a chap. The ball was thrown well enough for any tight end or wide receiver to catch it. Not sure why. Not sure why he said that. I mean, I think the play call itself was not like the play itself was pretty good design. I mean, that could have worked, but I just why I don't understand why you don't give you put the ball in the hands of guys that you are constantly repping to catch the football, and not your I don't know where Chapman Pendergrass is on the depth chart. I mean, he's pretty. I mean, with the injuries, he's been. I think he's in the 2 deep now. But I mean, former walk-on offensive lineman. I don't know why that's the call there. Obviously, we're praising it if it works. So that's one of those things, I guess. But I didn't care for it, especially when you did everything to you ran your normal offense to get to that position. Let's see. Juju talking about SMU. Yeah, SMU might F around and make it to the ACC championship again. Yeah, they might. Yeah, that was a big win today. Hey, that's one thing I guess we can still laugh about is Miami, even when Clemson and Florida State are in the toilet, still can't make the ACC championship game with probably their best team that Mario has had, and the best team they've had in probably about 10 years, 10 plus years. So that's nice. We can still make fun of them for that, especially since you lost 2 recruits to them this week. So it's kind of being petty, but it is what it is. John says, "Bruh, you be coping so hard. This team is terrible, simple, and plain. For the coaches down to the walk-ons, we're trash." I mean, I think me and TBC have said multiple times this team is not good. I mean, I don't know where the coping is. I flat out said this is not a good football team. Waywary says Miami law. Yes. Desperate Men says looks like ACC may only get one team in the playoffs. Yeah, it's looking like it. I mean, at this point, they're not going to get the benefit of the doubt. You probably needed like a 1-loss Miami versus a undefeated Georgia Tech type of situation. But now that's out the window. So here's to hoping. I don't even know who I want to win the ACC. I mean, sure, why not let SMU win it? I don't know. Wet Sox says, yeah, the long pass to the tight end on the last drive was horrific. Safety play is just piss poor. Yeah, I mean it's, and that's why, like, I mean, I was upset on Twitter in the immediate aftermath of that play and the offensive pass interference, but at the same time, like, they're not in that position at all if you don't give up a massive play up the seam. Just nobody within. I don't know. I don't know what the call was there, but just how he gets that naked on second and long, or it was a second or third and long situation, like that's ridiculous. John says, "Bro, we're one of the worst teams in all of college football. Call a spade a spade." Well, I'm not sure if you have a perspective on like all of college football. I mean, Clemson is certainly not a good team, but I don't think they're one of the worst teams in college football. They're not a good football team. That's what it is. I mean, compared to Clemson standards, they're pretty bad, but I mean, I wouldn't call them one of the worst teams in college football. If you were one of the worst teams in college football, you lose this game by 30 points. Dale says, if Louisville loses to anyone other than Georgia Tech in the ACC championship, only Georgia Tech will make the college football. Miami has collapsed again in the second half of the season. Yeah, I mean, Miami losing was pretty much was almost a death blow to the ACC for getting two teams. I don't see any scenario where. Damon Barker says Dabo needs to be the CEO. Let's coordinators hire their own staff. Neither Riley or Allen can hire their own staff. Spiller needs to go. Easton needs to go. Reed needs to go. I mean, on the front of not letting your coordinators bring guys from other places. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that's something that needs to change. Because I mean, you're asking your coordinators, these coordinator hires, to come in and mesh with guys that they've never worked with ever in their careers. And trying to make that work, and it's clear it's not meshing well. Preston says, "Yeah, got to go UVA for Tony." Yeah, I think that would probably be my pick. Yeah, I definitely am rooting for Virginia. I think that's the safest. I mean, obviously, just having a former coach, former player, lead Virginia to the college football playoff, that would be really cool. But also, like, you don't have to feel any guilty conscience, because like because UVA is not like a rival or anything. So it's probably the most guilt-free bandwagon that you can hop on. Adam says Georgia Tech could be the only one to still make it if they lost the ACC but went undefeated. Would also have a win against UGA. Yeah, if they do go undefeated, yeah, that would be a good. That Georgia win would be a big feather in the cap. Let's see. Silver Fox says Tigers defensively actually did pretty good on the not allowing Duke to run the ball very well, but as far as the safeties are concerned, that's another story. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. It's like, well, typically when you stop the run, I mean, Clemson held them to, I want to say 3 point, under 4 yards per carry. I mean, that's a good. You'll take that every single day. Running the football and under 100 yards total on the game. I think they had 78 yards on the game. I mean, you'll take that every time, and that should make it easier to defend the pass, because you are getting Duke into second and 10s, second and 8s, third and 9s, third and 11s. I mean, And your third down defense was pretty good too. I think they were, I want to say Clemson was allowed 3 for 12 on third downs. But the problem is, I mean, one, you gave up too many yards on some of those third downs where the fourth down was super easy to get and it made it manageable. And other times you just flat out, you flat out just couldn't get off the field and they converted. I mean, that's inexcusable. So you did, first 3 downs where you were okay when you weren't giving up big plays, but obviously you offered no resistance on the money down. So that's how you lose a football game where you score 45 points. All right. I think we'll do do one more from Jay. He says, I think we'll get an answer on Dabo's future by November 2026. I mean, we'll see. I mean, obviously, I think I don't really have many thoughts on 2026 right now because I need to see what this offseason, kind of entails and, whether or not like my prognosis for the future it has any sort of, positive outlook on it. Changes are coming, guys. I feel pretty confident in saying that. I think some pretty significant changes are coming, but how those changes are implemented and what those changes are, and at least how they're realized, that's yet to be determined. And this is going to be a very, 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 very pivotal offseason for this program, because this is not acceptable. I mean, with the financial resources that you invested, you invest a ton of financial resources into football in general, but the financial capital that you invested into compensating this roster that has 5 losses in the month of November, the amount of financial capital that you invested in this coaching staff, one of the highest paid staffs in college football, it's unacceptable. And I think that the fan base has done a good job at making it clear it's not acceptable. I mean, I know people want to say like, oh man, y'all are just spoiled, and that Clemson was nothing before Dabo. It's like, no, I mean the standard is the standard is the standard, and just because Dabo said it doesn't mean he gets to move the standard however he wants. I mean, this program has won a national championship before he was here. I mean, it's always been known that this program can be a national championship contender and has national championship aspirations. And and the funny thing is like, we're not even upset that this team isn't even a national championship contender. We're upset that this team has 5 losses. I mean, a coach that loses 5 games a year at Clemson, I mean, they don't last very long. That's never been the case. And hell, if this team doesn't make a bowl game, they certainly don't last very long. Those coaches throughout Clemson's history have never lasted very long. So, I mean, I think that the administration is very clear, and they have a pretty good understanding of, that the results this year are. I mean, this has been a complete failure, a complete disaster of a football season. And so, I'm not necessarily worried about, administratively like internally that the program, or at least the people that are responsible for the big, higher up decisions for the football program are content with how the season has played out. That's anything but the case, from the athletic director to the board of trustees to the president. I know there's an understanding of the president of Clemson, not the president of the United States. I hope I didn't need to clarify that, but you never know. I think they are pretty clearly in lockstep about what things need to change. So it's all about seeing those changes happen in real time, and I think it's going to require some patience. We're not going to see any heads roll. I doubt it during the season. I don't think there's going to be any sort of massive announcement, coming next week or something. But I do think that there's going to be some. I think this was an eye-opening season in a lot of ways for a lot of people involved with decision making in this football program. And I'll leave it at that. Again, Clemson 45, Duke 46. Clemson falls to 3-5 on the season. Not really much to look forward to. We're, of course, me and Tiger Paw Craven are going to continue to be here, and we're going to talk about this football team and what this, what the rest of this season entails. So those of you that are new, which I'm sure there's a lot of you in here that are new or haven't seen us or watched us, we do a show every Tuesday night called The All In Show at 8 p.m. on this same channel. So y'all make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and share this with your friends too. Share this with other Clemson fans, other college football fans, because we're definitely trying to grow this community. And we always do better on these shows after a loss. So I gotta milk it and take the opportunity while I can to implore you guys to subscribe to the channel and join the community we have here over at the Voice of College Football. So. Thank you guys so much for joining me. And I'm glad that those of you that are still sticking around, because I'm flattered each and every time I get on here and think that there's this many people that care what I have to say. Me and Tiger Paw Craven have to say about this football program. So again, thank you for the support. And we'll see you guys on Tuesday. Until then, I am Jordan Bowman. Go Tigers.